And welcome back, everyone, to the Bulldog Beat Basketball Show, presented by Two Hats Ranch. Rob Bentley and Sandy Golston with you, and joined now by the head coach of the Ferris State women's basketball team, Kurt Westendorp. Coach, first of all, welcome to the show.
Yeah, glad to be here with you guys.
What's it been like this week, just getting prepared and having an opportunity to play once again here in the NCAA Tournament?
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind of emotions, because you're coming off of, last week where you really had to play our way in, and we did an excellent job of doing that, getting two really good wins, falling a little bit short on Sunday. So yesterday on Monday was great to just kind of get a little bit of a day off, a little bit of rest for the girls, not really a day off for the coaches, but a day off for the girls, because we played 7 straight days to put ourselves in this position. And there's a lot of emotions when you're on the bubble. It's a lot of stress, there's a lot of just worry and angst until you see your name called Sunday night. That's when you can finally, have a little bit of that stress release. And it's like, okay, all that pent up aggression can kind of be let go. And then now you get through Monday and it's like, okay, well, now you got to turn your sights to Ashland. Now you got to turn your sights to exactly what it is that you got to do to get your bodies prepared, and then to get your mind prepared. And I have to do a good job of making sure our scouts, being on point, because we've played Ashland before earlier this year, but it was back in November. And as you guys well know, lots of things have changed since November. So we really feel like we're blessed that we get a chance to keep competing. And now that we know that we're in, it's like, okay, we got 40 minutes and that's all you're guaranteed. But we had that mentality last year and we had some good results. So we're really trying to enjoy these moments.
How important as you look back, were those 2 wins last week, just have a chance to get back into the tournament with how things kind of played out here in the region?
Well, our region is so good up and down. They're very good teams that are not playing in the NCAA tournament. Malone is an excellent team and they're at home. Northwood's an excellent team. They're at home. We had beaten a Drury team earlier in the year that, went 22-7 or something like that. And they're a really good team and they're at home. So we know that we're prepared, and we know that in our region, there's always going to be good teams that are left out. So we knew we had work cut out for us. With the losses to Wayne and the loss to Saginaw, we knew that we couldn't come in and lose to Roosevelt and expect to keep playing. So we kind of had that back against the wall mentality, able to get that win. And then it was a huge quality win for us over Northern, because Northern, you see it, reflected in the seeding. They're the number 3 seed in the region. So when you can knock off the number 3 seed in the region, you're proving to people that you belong in that conversation, that you can beat these good teams the way that we had earlier in the year. It was great for us to get one of those big wins that late in the year to kind of be that lasting impression on the committee.
Obviously, those last 2 games this past weekend in the GLIAC tournament against teams, even the Roosevelt one, you were playing for the 3rd time. How much does that change things when you're playing a team for the 3rd time in the season?
Well, there are no secrets. That you kind of know exactly everything that they have going. You can have a couple wrinkles up your sleeve. As coaches, we always have those, couple plays or a couple of sets that you're like, okay, well, they're going to think we're running it this way. I got to get the wrinkle ready. But those only take account for a couple possessions a game. The game is going to have, hundreds of plays that have to be made. And our wrinkles can maybe take up, maybe 5 or 6 of those plays. You try to use those in the key moments, to try to have a little bit of an advantage. But a lot of it's for our kids being on the court for another 40 minutes with those same girls. They competed them with 40 minutes. Then you play them again. It's kind of like an NBA series. The more that you spend time on the court with other people, you pick up more and more on some of those little tendencies. What matchups can you really attack? What matchups do you need to try to avoid? So when you're playing a team for the 3rd time, it's like, okay, the secrets are all gone, but you're really feeling out those matchups a little bit more and more, and our kids are feeling it out too. Kenzie was able to find a lot of really good space in that Northern game late. And it took us a while to try to find, some space where she could go be creative, and then she was able to create a couple of those late buckets for us. Mia Riley did a good job creating. Maya did an extra job of rebounding, getting in there. And we were able to just kind of create just enough and learn just enough as the game ebbed and flowed to be in good position to win.
And tell us a little bit, let's go back to that Northern Michigan game, your 3rd game against Northern Michigan. You had a couple of tough regular season games against them. What did you sense from the team coming into that game, and what do you think were some of your keys to success to kind of reverse what happened in the regular season?
Yeah, well, the mental focus was there. Like, I can tell you that right away. When a team beats you by 30 and then 25 or 27, like in both of those games, you're like, okay, well, it didn't just happen once, it happened twice. So we really went back and we watched a lot of that from that second game, because from the first game to the second game, we really felt like the first game against them was the worst basketball we had played probably in 4 years. We really had a lot of self-inflicted wounds, and you can't have self-inflicted wounds against a good team. And Northern is an excellent team that took advantage of us inside and outside. So going into the game at Northern, we felt a lot more confident, going into that game. We're like, okay, we can get some of these things corrected. And then we came out and, it kind of happened again where like it was a lot of self-inflicted wounds. I feel like defensively, we were okay at certain points. Then I made some changes in that second game, going a little bit zone, and they got hot, and it kind of got away from us. And then in that second half, you're playing from so far behind, you're playing out of character. So we knew going into the third game, like, okay, we're not going to play any zone. They don't have a ton of great outside shooters. The two they have are excellent, but they don't have a lot of them. So we felt like we could do it a little bit, but they ran some really good zone offense against us those first two games. So going into the tournament game, we knew we weren't going to zone them, and we really did change up a lot of things that we do defensively. We'd usually try to get around in front of the post, really have strong backside help, kind of have to X out on some switches. We were like, we're going to play a little bit more behind, try to cover the post, come with a few double teams. So we really went into it going like, okay, we ran out one game plan 2 times in a row, and it sure as heck didn't work. So all right, I'll take those, I'll take those, and we'll now. Our girls knew like, we're going to try something different. And they really bought into it. And they bought into like, okay, we're going to do these things. They're going to get some points in the post because their post players can score. They might get a couple kick out threes on us here and there because we're coming to double team, but we can weather those storms. And we did a great job in the game of, staying in closer touch with them. They never really went on any runs, whereas the first 2 regular season games, they got a lot of runs on us. And this game, they didn't really get those runs. They might have got like a 5 or 6 point spurt, but we answered every single time. And the deeper and deeper you get into those kind of games where a team had beaten you like that, you start to be the team that believes a little bit more like, okay, we got this now. Even though we were losing, it was like, okay, we got this. We're sticking right with them. We'll close it out. And that belief just started to grow and grow and grow. And you saw it in the fourth quarter.
And what's been the glue for your team this year? Because you guys have faced a lot of adversity in terms of injuries and things. But this team just has really stuck together, even down the stretch when, as you mentioned, you guys were on the bubble and you really pulled together. Great game against Northern Michigan. What's been the glue that's held this team together?
Well, they're just such a tight-knit group of girls. Like they truly do love each other. Like, and a lot of teams say that, but like these girls, they really do love each other, and they're willing to do what I'm asking them to do with some different lineups at times as well. Yeah. So like I've had to change up multiple times, like, okay, now we're going to play 2 bigs a little bit and Claire's going to start. Okay, Allie was starting for a stretch when, I had decided to bring Shauna off the bench, and there really hasn't been like that complaining. It's just every girl wants to step up for each other, and sometimes we play good basketball and sometimes we don't, but we're always a tight-knit group, and they're always pulling for one another. I think they're always each other's biggest fans, and they know that like, okay, in some of those big moments, like, okay, you just got to step up and try to make the plays. And if you make it, I'm going to give you a hug. If you miss it, I'm going to give you a hug. Like they feel like they have that support of each other. And, they feel it from the injured players as well that haven't had a chance to take the court in a while or ever. They feel the support of like each other. And I really think that's been one of our strengths over the past, 4 or 5 years is like we have a pretty good tight knit group of kids that when things go wrong, they don't all splinter and go their separate ways and start trying to like, okay, I'll try to figure it out on my own or you figure it out on your own. Like they do a good job of staying together and trusting the message that's coming. And they really do believe in whatever plan that we're putting out there for them.
And you guys are all hands on deck right now with your lineup. So if you're in uniform, you're going to play and you're going to contribute. That being said, you've had some freshmen that have had to really step in and maybe arrive ahead of schedule. And what have you seen from them? Yeah,
both Grace and Alyssa have done a really good job of I think they've grown really well as the season goes on. All coaches kind of make the joke, by the time you're a February of your freshman year, you're not a freshman anymore. You got 20 games under your belt. Like, all right, now you should kind of know what it's like. And I think you can both see that when you watch both of them on the court, just the difference in confidence that they have from, even December to now. Grace is a great example that she wasn't seeing as many minutes. Alyssa might have been seeing a few more spot minutes. And there was times when Grace would get the ball, things would like kind of stall a little bit, or she wasn't quite playing reactive, not quite being the natural player that she is. And now, I can't remember what game it was where she drilled 4 threes and it was like, okay, a lot more confidence is coming. The ball got to her and she was looking to be aggressive with it right away instead of just trying to move the basketball, and she's been getting some minutes in some of these key games when she's not getting a lot of extended ones, but I think she's growing a little bit more and more confident. She rebounds really well for a guard. She sticks her nose in there and can elevate. She's not shy. So I'm really proud of her growth. And then Alyssa is the one that had the big game on Saturday. and it's going to take time with post players. It always does. Whenever a post player comes in as a freshman, usually it's a lot different from high school to college because you're going up against kids your same size. I know there's no one that has that same height that Alyssa has, but a lot of people have the similar strength. So she's just kind of learning and growing. And part of the great part about Alyssa is she has such a carefree attitude. And it's not that she doesn't care. She does care greatly, but when she steps out there, she's growing and more confident where it's like, yeah, I can do some of these. She's seeing some of the success happen, knocking down a 3 at Northern in the regular season. I think that gave her a lot of confidence that in the semifinal game when she had it, she took it. She takes those shots in practice, and we're starting to get a little bit more out of her down on the block as well, where we're getting her a little bit better position. She's starting to play a little bit more physical, because she's big and strong and it's tough to move her. Sometimes she plays a little bit too standing upright, which is that's something that when you're 6'5" and have been the tallest kid your entire life, you kind of just put your hands up, you stay tall, and you keep the ball high. Well, now in college, these girls are pushing you. And when they push her, sometimes she gets a little off balance. So when she plays lower and stronger and gets a little better angles at the basket, she can score the ball down in there. And defensively, I think she's gaining a lot more confidence and communication. And we're trying to put her in some of the right spots where it is good matchups for her because, she can defend by the rim excellent. A little bit on the outside, that's where she's got to continue to grow and get better. But both of those two are really stepping up into those opportunities, and they're really making a mark.
And what are the characteristics of a Bulldog player when you're going on the road and you're recruiting and you're identifying players that you want to bring into this program, looking at the players that you have now, looking at the players that you're looking at in the future? What are the characteristics of a Bulldog?
Oh, you got to try to find competitors. You got to try to find people that win. And you can still recruit some players off of high school programs that might struggle a little bit as long as like that kid really has that Bulldog mentality and they're out there really competing every single day. But we have a lot of kids on our team that are winners. We got state champions. We have state runners up. You got a lot of people that played really high quality AAU basketball. Obviously you're looking for the measurables first is the first thing that jumps out to everybody. It's like, okay, can she play in the GLIAC? And then it's like, okay, do they have the skill level? And there's also a lot of those players, but a lot of players, like I said, have both the measurables, they have the skill level. It's like, okay, now who can you win championships with? Who's going to really fight when things get down? Who has a little bit of that edge? I think we have a lot of people that do have that edge, and those are the players that kind of jump to the top of that recruiting board. Those are the players that get offered those scholarships, a little bit earlier. And we don't offer probably as many scholarships as like a lot of other schools. We kind of keep our recruiting a little bit tighter than some schools that offer a big swath of people. And that's because we want to make sure that we're getting kids that know how to win, know how to fight, and just have some of those characteristics that even if they have flaws in their game, they have the work ethic that it's going to take to overcome some of those flaws that they might have as high schoolers, that we know you can improve upon those things and learn how to play college basketball, which is what a lot of our kids really right now that are getting a lot of time, they've learned how to play basketball their freshman and sophomore year, and now they're really stepping into their junior years and having great years.
And one more question before I kick it back to Rob. How do those characteristics help you when you're in NCAA tournament week here? You step into this week where, it's win or go home time. How do those characteristics really translate into a week like this?
Well, it's not going to go perfect. You're playing an Ashland team on Friday that you're not getting, everything you draw up isn't going to work. There's going to be a lot of plays that need to be made that aren't coaching plays, that aren't, not in the scouting report. It's going to come down to a couple rebounds here and there, loose balls. Okay, an open court possession. The play broke down. All right. Are you looking to get back to a perfect situation where you're trying to execute exactly to please your coach, or are you out there just trying to compete and play and win? And I think that we did a great job in that Northern game, of making a lot of those plays. In the Roosevelt game, we made a lot of those plays. The Grand Valley game, we didn't make as many of those plays. Grand Valley's defense was excellent. We kind of had to learn from that too. So we know we're going to get in some of those moments, and some teams just crumble when they get faced with some of that adversity and some of that, things aren't going quite our way. We know that we just got to find some way anyway to win a possession, to try to win a game. So I think the mentality really comes through, because it's going to be some times where you're going to feel your own mortality as a team. We talk about that when our captains group with about, a couple weeks to go in the season, we talk about you're going to get in that moment where it's going to be like, holy cow, 3 minutes to go or we're done. And it's like, are you going to freak out and try to do it all by yourself? Or are we going to go back to, no, we're going to execute what we had done all season long, because those are the things that will give us a chance to win. So hopefully when we get in those moments on this weekend, because they're going to come this weekend, whether it's, any game you play in, you're going to face some of those moments. You're not going to be up by 20 the whole time. And it's like, okay, how do you respond? And what kind of possessions do you get out of your teams? You're not always going to make the shots. We're not always going to win all of these games, but what kind of possessions are you getting? Where are you mentally focused? Are you giving it your best effort? Like, those are the things we try to talk about and focus on, and not get so caught up in like, is it going to go in or not go in? Because sometimes that is out of your control.
Coach, I know we talked on Sunday at the end of the Grand Valley game. You were one of those teams, maybe kind of on the bubble, a group of 4 or 5 teams there that you knew some teams weren't going to make the NCAA tournament. What was it like, I guess, when you heard your name called? You've been kind of on both sides of it before, where you know you're in the tournament, and sometimes you think you are. But what was it like just when the girls saw their name called, and obviously for Kinsey having a chance to play again in the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, it's a lot of emotions all at once. Like, I don't think I could go through all of them, because yes, it was a bunch of nervous energy. Relief is one that kind of does come to mind, because it's like you feel like you've done a good job, and it's like you just hope it gets acknowledged. So a little bit of it as a coach, because I might stress myself out more than I need to. Both me and Andy, we might be a little more on the worrying side. So for us, it's a little more relief. But it was nice to see the girls. I think when I saw the name come up, I think every arm shot up. I think you had, boom, you see the video that's posted right there. I think every arm shot up, and just that excitement level like that they had, I think that's the emotion that you need to have. Relief as a coach, it's like, okay, maybe I stress myself out too much, but seeing like the joy and just the, we did it, attitude of like, yep, we got acknowledged. We get to go do this again. Now there's no more stress, really. Like, the stress was kind of about getting to this point where, are you in or are you out? Because that's kind of our number one goal every year, is get to the tournament. Because you get to the tournament, anything can happen. So we got another bite at the apple now. We get a chance to kind of go do all those things that we got to accomplish last year. We competed really well 3 years ago at Ashland, a game that went right down to the wire that we didn't win. You just want a chance to be playing in these games. So it's a great sense of accomplishment. I talked to the team before practice today. We pointed up at the banner. It's like the number 2025 is going up on that NCAA tournament banner. We've left our mark. It's a team that will always get acknowledged, because that number will always be on the banner. And now it's like, okay, well, now let's start adding that number to a couple of those other banners, and you can kind of turn your attention to, all right, we got a chance to go do some great things and have a lot of fun while we're doing it, and just lay it all on the line again. So it was a great sense of release, a great sense of excitement, and now it's like, okay, let's get to work and kind of try to earn some more of those memories.
Finally here, I know you had a chance after the selection show to kind of talk with both teams, the men and the women. What's it been like? You just mentioned 3 of those seasons where we had both teams here in the NCAA tournament, and having both teams here in the NCAA tournament once again. Yeah,
I wanted to make a point to both teams as we were leaving there, just not to take it for granted. I think sometimes, when you do it as often as we've had a chance to do it, and I know there's other teams that probably have done it more, but like you don't want to take those moments for granted, because they are fleeting. You can't just be like, oh yeah, well, of course we're going to be in the tournament, because then you're going to have an attitude that you don't have to be your very best on every single day. So I just wanted to make sure that I acknowledge the guys, because like they had an amazing season, but again, nothing is guaranteed. Trying to enjoy these moments with each other. It's great that, Andy and I have been able to have such a good relationship in our time here, and our teams have been able to have good success together. And it's really a shared experience. They were here for our selection show. They were here half an hour early to be there for us, and we didn't know if we were going to be crying happy tears or sad tears. And then we didn't know if they were going to be crying happy tears or sad tears. We just wanted to be there for each other, not take these moments for granted, really enjoy them and live it up, and then, really be motivated to go out and represent Ferris really well in the NCAA tournament again, like so many of our teams have done. Now it's just our turn to do it again in this March.
Well, Coach, thanks for the time, and best of luck here. I'm sure we'll catch up with you again before Friday's game.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, guys.